For me, there's nothing like LED lighting in the kitchen, especially under cabinets, where either strip light or LED tape really can brighten your work area and just make it much more efficient to be in. In our case, we hired an electrician. He ran LED tape, ran the low voltage wires behind the wall, passed the outlet down to a power supply. There, he ran the lead back up to that switch power outlet so we could turn the light on and off conveniently. Now, you can do the same thing for a lot less money with the Armacost LED tape light kit. Unlike other light kits, this one has a lot more flexibility, thus making installation a breeze. It includes an RF dimmer remote, the manual, 2 Sure-Lock wire connectors, 8.2 feet of LED tape, which is at 3000 kelvins, is a warm light, and you get a power supply, which has a built-in plug already, but that can, as I'll explain a little bit later, be switched out. This power supply is very flexible in that both the power source and the outgoing low voltage lines can be switched out. The included RF remote allows you to turn the unit on and off, dim up or down manually, or you can use the preset levels. And below that, you have a choice of about 6 effects. These effects can even be sped up or slowed down. To energize the unit, simply pull the plastic tab out. The kit comes with a 36 watt class 2 LED power supply. And the really nice thing about this power supply, unlike some of the other LED units that I've seen out there, is that yes, this already comes with a plug and it's wired in, but if you want to hardwire your system, remove this cover, and there you see the wires just go in here and they're held down by 2 screws. You have the load side, which would be your black wire, the end, which is neutral, which is your white wire. So black, white, and then you have 110 power coming into here, and you can hardwire this unit. Additionally, this unit can be mounted with screws or Velcro or adhesive or just placed somewhere. Now, while that's a really nice feature, they've gone one better, and you can also disconnect the low voltage side. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, let's say that you needed to run this wire through a small hole to get to the power supply, right? By detaching it from the power supply, now you can just drill a tiny hole instead of trying to figure out how you're going to get this from one cabinet to another. Very nice feature that they built into the unit. These just screw in place, and make sure you follow the polarity. That's always very important with LED. In our case, the white LED cable is positive and the gray is negative. Straight out of the box, power cord is attached to the power supply to the 12-volt line, which actually attaches right to the LED strip. So all you have to do is plug in. Grab the remote, hit the power button, and you have light. Now you notice, hopefully it shows on camera, it's a warm light. It's 3000 Kelvin, so it's not your soft white. It's more towards yellow. So judge appropriately where you'd like to place that. You get multiple functions on the remote. You can dim the light. There's 50%, 25, 10, or you can manually just dial it up or down. It also has some effects. You can do some crazy things to annoy people, or maybe it's really cool. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of these, and not only is there an effect, but you can slow down or speed up the effect itself. And if you miss an effect, you can go backwards or you can go forwards. I don't see much use for this, personally for us, but just know it's there. If you're just testing the lights, I advise you to keep it down at least 50% or 10%. At 100%, the brightness is so intense that it could damage your eyes if you're looking at it too long. Anyway, LED strip. It has 3M tape, which is nice, so you can stick this without having to glue it somewhere. Another thing to note about the remote control is if you decide to hook this up to a switched power source, then this will turn the lights on and off, the switched outlet, but the remote will still be able to do the dim functions, the effects functions, and of course you can still power it on and off, though that could get confusing if you power down here and you have the light switch on, you won't have anything. So that can get a little confusing for users. But you don't lose any of the remote control functionality, whether you wire the power supply to a switch or just to line voltage. With the lights on, we're going to take the remote and we're going to go to the other end of my garage, which is about 25 feet away. And if I point directly to the lights, you'll see that we are out of range. But if I get closer, maybe half the distance, so about 15 feet, looks about where it'll work. It is an RF remote, so I should be able to turn it around the other way and turn off the lights, which I just did, even though the remote is facing in the opposite direction. A close-up look at the LED tape reveals that there are little copper strips about every 2 inches apart. See there and there. And that's where you would cut right down the middle of that, across it. That's your cut point. Now, where the physical tape comes to an end, they've joined it together with solder. So if you have to make a break here, you're going to have to desolder this connection. To make a cut with the scissor, we simply go down the middle and cut. The system comes with 2 Sure locks, which enable you to connect 2 LED tapes together, whether it's an extension or a cut that you've made to go around, let's say, an obstacle. And to connect these, it's quite simple. Peel off some of the backing to expose the copper strip. Open the lock mechanism on the Sure lock, and then we're going to make sure that the electronic side, the side that you can see the LEDs on, is on the same side as the Sure lock label, and then you're just going to insert, push it all the way in as far as it'll go, then lock the tab. And once that's set, you have a good electrical connection. The Sure lock will also work across the solder joints once you remove the solder and expose the copper strips. Whenever possible, I would try to avoid the soldering joint and go 2 inches to either side where there's a copper strip that you can cut. Whenever using the Sure lock, make sure you are mindful of polarity. It's plus on top, negative on bottom. You can see it says 12 volts, so that'll give you your orientation for top and bottom. And also the wiring is colored, so that helps you maintain polarity, especially if you decide that you need to cut the wire to shorten or lengthen it. But maintain positive to positive and negative to negative, and you shouldn't have any problems connecting the LED tapes together or to the power supply. And if for whatever reason you need to redo it, you can just unclamp and remove. Remember, you'll always need to peel back the adhesive labeling to make this connection. Already having a light strip in the kitchen, we didn't need one there, so we decided, what about putting one on the mantle? We like the concept. The problem is that some of the actual LED bulbs can be seen. And then the other issue we're having is that when we get to the end here, we have the low voltage cord that then goes to the power cube and it needs to hang either off this ledge or secured here, none of which really worked for us. So then another option would be to cut this cord, add some more low voltage line, and then hide it along the grout and come all the way down to the outlet down at the bottom. What I finally decided upon doing was taking the power supply and actually just hiding it behind this frame. We'll probably Velcro it in place. Again, we'll hide the low voltage wires along the grout line behind the frame, secure this to the frame. We happen to have a floor lamp, so the power lead coming off the power supply won't be showing to anybody in the room. Then to address the issue up here, what I'm going to do is take the strip and we'll actually attach it to the mantle, but then, hold on, then I'm going to take a quarter round, put it in the front, and the lights will be aimed up, so we'll get this soft wash on the teal painted brick, and I think that'll enhance the look of the room, and the quarter round will hide the actual LED lamps. Now I just need to cut some wood. After applying 2 coats of latex paint, allowing a total of 3 days for this to dry, I put in a quarter round, gave it about 1 inch of space, nailed it to this wood. Of course, if your mantle top piece is not wood, then you have to come up with a different issue. Oh yeah, and I spot touched where the nail heads went in. So now we're ready to run tape along the bottom here, aiming up so that we get a wash on the brickwork. The next step is to lay down the tape, one, so that you know how much tape you need, because you're going to have to cut off the excess, and two, so I can determine the routing of this cable. I don't want the LED lamps coming all the way to the edge and shining out and glaring out in this direction. So as you see here, I am twisting the wire, going behind the mantle for a bit. Then I'm probably going to cut this way through the grout line and maybe go behind this. At the end of the LED strip, you see it hangs off, got a couple of feet, but we've lucked out in that here's our cut point right here on the edge. To apply, you literally place it down and then just pull off the backing and make sure it sticks. Here's what the strip looks like when it's in place. We did that all the way to the end. And now as we come off and behind the mantle wood, I'm going to use one of these self-adhesive clip-ons to hold the cable in place there, and then figure my routing to the power supply and eventually to the outlet. Installation is complete. We're running the wire behind the floor lamp, so it's kind of hidden. Behind the frame, power supply is here. Double stick tape holds it against the back of the frame. Come out here. Need to replace that double stick tape with transparent double stick tape. And the self-sticky clip here. That brings us up to the top and our lights. And let's hit the power button. And that's our look. And while it's a soft yellow light, it kind of looks white down here, but I suspect that's because of it's reflecting off the white paint. And then we end up with, 3000 K up here, which is sort of your yellowish. It's been several weeks after the installation, and we really do enjoy the lighting that's provided by this LED tape strip. The soft reflected light lights up the room without causing reflections or glare on the television screen. If you found this video interesting or useful, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, please subscribe, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.